it is an absolute pleasure and honor to be joined today by Bob Burg, who is the best-selling co-author of one of my all-time favorite business books, The Go-Giver. I was first recommended this book right as I started my business Authentic Brand just over 5 years ago. And when I read it, I felt like I had found someone who understood what I had learned through 20 years of sales and marketing experience in my life, and it had summarized it so beautifully. Bob, thank you for graciously giving us your time today to get acquainted with you personally, and to spend some time picking your beautiful brain about some of the laws of stratospheric success that you include in your book. I don't want to shortchange the introduction, so I'm going to use your formal introduction so those who might not know you can meet you through that intro, and then we'll dive right in. Sound good?
Sure. Or you can just say, here's Bob, and we can start now.
Okay, here's Bob. Instead of reading his formal introduction, I invite you to go connect with Bob because he's a real human who enjoys connection, and he'll actually have a conversation with you on LinkedIn. It's beautiful. Bob, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right. So in this community of integrators that we serve here, these are the second in command leaders within entrepreneurial businesses. And your book is written to and about business owners and entrepreneurs. And it talks a lot about the entrepreneurial spirit. But what about those like in this room who aren't themselves business owners or entrepreneurs, but are entrepreneurial? How does the message of the Go-Giver apply to them, to this audience?
Yeah, the same basic principles apply. I mean, instead, when we think of an entrepreneur, we think of someone who owns their business, has invested money in their business, has maybe has investors, or all those things that we just associate with an entrepreneur. But if you, let's say, work in another person's organization, you still have to do the same things. You're just, instead of an entrepreneur, you're an intrapreneur. You're an entrepreneur within another organization. An entrepreneur has got to serve the end customer, because, you know, let's face it, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet or need the money or want the sale to happen, or even because you're a really nice human being. People are going to do business with you because they believe they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so, which, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense. It's the only reason anyone should buy from us anyway. So if you're a intrapreneur, if you're working within another organization, nobody is going to hire you, pay you a salary, and continue to pay you because you have a mortgage payment to meet, or because you want to send your kid to a good school, or because for any other reason other than they believe that they are going to be better off and their business is going to be better off by having you as part of their team and paying you for that than by not doing so. So really, it's the same thing. Your job is to bring immense value to that other person. So it might be your customer is, you know, in actuality, the owner of the company. It might be your colleagues. It might be the people you're leading. Those are your customers. And of course, the end user, the eventual customer, is also your customer. So the same principles apply.
Absolutely. Bob, can you, for anyone who needs a refresher on the book or maybe hasn't read it yet, can you give us a quick review of the 5 laws that you and your co-author John have shared in The Go-Giver?
Yeah, it's based on an overriding premise, if you will, and that's simply that shifting your focus, and that's really where it all begins, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's actually the most financially profitable way as well. And not for any, you know, way out there, woo-woo, magical, mystical type of reasons. It's actually very logical, very rational. When you think about it, when you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and place it on serving others, discovering their wants, their needs, their desires, when you can move your focus from you onto helping them solve and overcome their challenges and problems, when you can move your focus off yourself and place it on bringing another human being closer to happiness, people feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to do business with you. And they certainly want to tell others about you. They want to be your personal walking ambassador. So that's that's the premise. And as you mentioned, it comes with 5 laws of what we call stratospheric success, and those laws are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity.
Love that. Can any of you in the audience guess which is my favorite based on the name of my business, Authentic Brand?
We are so confused,
I'm
Jenny.
so confused. But thank you, Bob, for that overview. And you speak my business love language, and this stuff works. And I just have to say, I received the very best compliment from someone last month before we announced Bob as our guest presenter and Q&A this month. Somebody told me that when they attend Integrator Community, they feel like they're experiencing the go-giver in real life. And I hope that you all feel that way. I've been asked numerous times, like, why don't we charge for these meetings? Why am I not interested in monetizing it? And it's because I believe in, and I see, and I feel, and I know the value of serving others well and what that creates. And that's exactly what the Go-Giver book and those laws of stratospheric success explain. But Bob, let's go back to value though. How does a person or a business add value to others without costing too much money, especially in a really competitive economic environment?
Well, I think the first thing, and that's a great question. The first thing is really to understand what we mean, what is meant by value. How is value defined? And I think it's important to define it in relation to price, because many people unfortunately think those are the same thing, and they're not. They're actually very different. Price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's or whatever currency someone lives in. We'll just say dollar right here. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It simply is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to another human being that they will willingly exchange their money for it and be glad they did, while you make a very healthy profit. Just a very quick example I like to use because it's very concrete is that let's say you hire an accountant to do your taxes, and she charges you $1,000. That's her fee, literally her price, $1,000. But what value is she giving you in exchange for this? Well, through her years of work, her continual development of skills, through her interest in you and your business and what you're looking to accomplish, she's able to save you $5,000 in taxes. She also saves you she saves you many hours worth of work of time, right? And she provides you and your family with the security and the peace of mind of knowing it was done correctly. So she's given you well over $5,000 in value in exchange for $1,000 fee or price. She gave you more in value than she took in payment, which is the first law, the law of value, right? It's giving more in value than you take in payment. Here's what happened. The money that she earned was not because she was focused on the money itself, right? The money was because she was focused on the value she was providing you, which is why John David Mann and I say that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning, which means nothing more than that the focus must be on the value you're providing. That comes first. The money you receive is simply a natural result of the value you've provided. So how do you give value to others? Well, we saw a few ways. By doing what you do, you're naturally providing more in use value to that person than what they're paying. But that's not enough, because all your competitors are basically doing the same thing. That accountant, well, every accountant can basically do that. That doesn't take anything away from the wonderful value that's been provided, but it also doesn't distinguish her in the marketplace. And in today's competitive environment where the playing field's basically pretty leveled, most products and services work pretty well. If you cannot distinguish yourself, you're always going to have to then compete on price. And, that's really a no-win. When you sell on low price, you're a commodity. When you sell on high value, you're a resource. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to separate yourself, to distinguish yourself in the marketplace. So how do you do that? Well, the quick answer is you have to become that value. You are the additional value. They are buying you before they buy the company. Now, the question is, so how do you do that? How do you become that additional value? And the good news is there are dozens, if not hundreds of ways to communicate that additional value, but they tend to come down to 5, what we call elements of value. And those 5 are excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation. And none of those cost money, not a significant amount anyway, right? These are just things, it's who you are. And because it's who you are, it's what you do. And that's what separates you. That's what distinguishes you in that person's mind.
I love that. And I'm going to go back and re-listen to that portion of the conversation and take notes when I've got my pen handy. That's beautiful. So tied to this idea of value and the difference between money and value, one of the lines in the book, which is a bit of an eyebrow raiser, is where you and John wrote, does it make money is not a bad question. It's a great question, but it's a bad first question, right? So I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in early stage growth businesses, could disagree with you. They might say it's like the only question when it comes to business, or you're just being naive if it's not making money, right? But what did the two of you mean when you authored that sentiment?
Right. Very important, because again, let's go back for a moment to something we talked about earlier, that nobody's going to buy from you basically because you want them to, right? So if you're about to start a business, invent a product, or go into an established business, well, it doesn't matter. And you're saying to yourself, will it make money? Again, that's an important question. Okay. It's just not a good first question, because if you're leading with the money, you're kind of looking in the rear view mirror as you're driving along a highway, because they don't care if it makes you money. They're not going to buy from you because it makes you money. Okay. They don't care if it makes you money or loses you money. So if your question is, does this make money? You're the only one that cares about it. The focus is on yourself, and that's not why people buy. If instead you ask as a first question, will it serve? Okay. And if you want to be more mundane about it, you can say, is there a marketplace for it? But it doesn't matter. Same basic thing. One is just a little bit more, heart driven, which is how we all would like to be. And so, will it, so the first question is, will it serve? Will people want it? Will there be a market for it? Now, even if there's not a market now, you may say, well, you know what? I believe in this so much, I'm going to create a market for it. By the way, that's not always a good idea, because sometimes the market's not ready and you're going to lose your shirt. Okay. Other times it's something that you might do. Other times there's we can get into the marketing, what I call the marketing bridge. Do they need it? Do they want it? Can they afford it? And so forth. And that's but really what it comes down to is, if you ask first, will it serve / is there a market for it? If the answer is yes, now ask, will it make a profit? Because even if there's a great market for it and everyone wants it and everyone buys it, if it doesn't make a profit, if you lose money right on every sale, well, now you've just got a very expensive hobby. And while hobbies are wonderful, that's not what we're talking about right here. So again, will it make money is a very important question. It's just a bad first question.
That's wonderful. So bridging into another concept of the book, one of the other concepts discussed in the book is the idea of influence. How does a go-giver create influence personally and in business? And how then does that relate to new business and even to leadership?
So let's look at the word influence first, because it is a word that's been used and abused, and I think overused, and now it has whatever meaning anybody wants to give it, I guess. And so on a very basic level, influence can be defined as the ability to move a person or persons to a desired action, usually within the context of a specific goal. By definition, that's influence. Now, that's That's its definition. But Jennifer, that is not its essence. The essence of influence is pull as opposed to push. We've all heard the question, how far can you push a rope? And we know the answer is not very far, or at least not very fast or very effectively, which is why great influencers don't push. Right? They don't push their ideas on others. They don't push their will on others. They don't push themselves on others. They're not push-y, right? You never hear people say, wow, that Tom or that Mary, she is so influential. She has a lot of push with people. No, she's very influential. She has a lot of pull with people. Well, that's what influence is. It's pull. It's an attraction. Great influencers attract people first to themselves and only then to their ideas. Now, the question then becomes, well, how is that done? And really, it's that influencer understanding, again, what we've been talking about, and what I think Dale Carnegie really just said so well in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this is where he wrote that ultimately people do things for their reasons, not our reasons. That's human nature, right? We can deny it or wish it weren't so, but that is human nature. They do things for their reasons, not our reasons. So when we deal in truths and we deal with the understanding of human nature, then what we say is, okay, then as an influencer, we need to ask ourselves questions to make sure we're focused the right way, which is on them. So we want to be inwardly motivated, but outwardly focused. So the go-giver influencer, if you will, ask themselves questions like, how does what I want this person to do, how does it align with their goals, with their needs, their wants, their desires? How does what I'm asking this other person to do, how does it align with their values? What problems am I helping them to solve? How am I making their life better? How am I getting them more of what they want? Now, when we ask ourselves these questions thoughtfully, intelligently, genuinely, authentically, not as a way to manipulate another human being into doing our will, but as a way of building everyone, right, in the process. Now we've come a lot closer to earning that person's commitment, as opposed to trying to depend on some type of compliance, which is push. One of my great friends and mentors, her name is Dondi Scumaci. I just love her, admire her so much. And she's a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, practitioner of leadership. And she says, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to influence, compliance, she says, will never take you where commitment can go. And that commitment is the result of pull. That's influence.
Love that. Bob, I wish we had the whole 90 minutes with you, because every question I've asked has spurred on 5 more questions I'd love to ask around a campfire with you. But this has been some treasured time with Bob Burg. And I really want to encourage all of you, integrators, you are all, as second in command leaders, you are the neck that turns the head and that creates pull inside of your organization. If you've not read The Go-Giver, please make it at the top of your read list. And this is just genuinely coming from my heart. I've reread it recently and it spoke to me all over again. And I marked it all up all over again. And that's what prompted me to post about it on LinkedIn. And Bob jumped into the conversation and then was gracious enough to accept this invitation. So I hope that you will check this book out. It's a fast, easy, and inspiring read. And Bob, we're so grateful for your time, your wisdom, and generosity. Thank you so much for being here with us. You're welcome to gracefully fall off the call at any time here. We're going to roll into our breakout rooms, but if we could all just give him a little round of applause and say thanks to Bob. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Appreciate you very much. You've been very kind. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, Bob.
Bye-bye.